Hello, and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism through passionate people doing incredible things. Hi, the rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. Hi, I'm Trey, and I am joined by the co host that is giving me a huge what stare, Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hi. Yeah, the rumors of your demise. That's dark.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to start out that dark. I thought it'd be funny.
Have you heard the song Sweet Potato Casserole? I did it. I said it on air.
For anyone who does not know what Emily is talking about, please go Google search or somewhere SPC for life, and four being the number four. You will be treated to a minute-long song by Flula, and it is as delightful and meme-worthy from the early 2010s as you could possibly imagine.
And it's family friendly. It's pure and wholesome.
It really is. Give me brown sugar. That's all I'm going to say to that. Uh, so, what I can say, we also have two guests with us today who are equally as delightful as that song is, and I'm very happy to get to talk to with them today. So, Emily, would you introduce our fantastic guests this evening?
I would. I'm so excited to tell the story because I'm going to start with like a little backstory. I love art festivals, and I love them so much that I went to one all by myself, alone this summer, and I was perusing the booths, which I love to do because I like to like get ideas and get inspired, and it's all around generally a good day, especially because they have this. The one I went to every year has this amazing cheese curd booth, and yeah, I'm in Minnesota and the Midwest, and so cheese curds are it. Anyway, cheese curds aside, one of the first booths I happened upon was this really impressive looking booth with artwork, and it looked like they were selling books. I couldn't tell, and I decided to walk up and ask, what is this? And that's when I met Nina, and she started telling me about what they were there doing that day, which was selling some art and selling a magazine called The Fine Print. And so I knew after looking through the magazine, which I bought immediately that day, that we had to have them on the show to talk about this because it was so cool. So, welcome to the show, Nina and Caroline.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So, you
Hi.
guys are the founders of this, yes?
Mhm.
Yeah, we started the club last November,
Yeah,
pretty much.
at our high school.
Okay. It started as a high school club. And tell us about the purpose of this.
Um,
Well, we created it as like a platform to like uplift the arts community in our school. So me and Caroline are both writers, and then I also like to draw and create other pieces of artwork. And it's so hard to like find places to like share, not only share your artwork, but like receive some sort of distinction and recognition and like make anything really special out of it. So me and Caroline made the magazine as a place to put as much student artwork as possible in a finely created and nice presenting magazine so anybody could see it.
yeah.
That was the inspiration.
What we noticed at our school was that a lot of other fields, such as like music or maybe like STEM fields, get a lot of recognition, especially in school activities. And they're also some of the most well-regarded fields. And in that sense, we saw that kind of art and writing and like the literary arts in general kind of being put to the side. So we thought it was really important that every single student at our school had a place where they could celebrate their passions and interests, no matter what they were. And now we have the magazine, and it's great.
Wonderful. And it is great. It is, I have to say, it's if you don't have one in your hands, you should get one in your hands. But also, like, it has a really nice, high quality cover. All of the paper feels really nice. Like, it feels like a good book to hold and to peruse through, read through in like physically. I liked that about it. How did you were you able to decide the quality and like how you did all of this yourselves?
Yeah, so basically how it worked was we collected all the student art and writing, and I designed it in Adobe InDesign, which if you do magazines or if you do books, you know the horror that is Adobe InDesign. But we designed it all, and then we sent it to a printing press. It was a local one. It's called Smart Press in Chanhassen.
Okay.
And from there, we were able to choose like the paper quality and like the thickness of the paper and the type of ink that we wanted to use. We actually did splurge a little with the printing quality for this one because we actually drew inspiration from The Tower, which is the literary magazine from the University of Minnesota. And I got one of their magazines in my hands and I was like, oh my God, this cover is so nice. And it's called a soft touch cover.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I was like, okay, how can we get this for our magazine? And it was a few cents extra, but I thought that it brought so much more to the presentation of the magazine. And that's what we went with. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's more like a book, like a volume of a series of books you'd want to keep. Not just like a periodical that you read one month and throw away and get the next one, or store it under your bed for, eternity until you decide to purge your life. It's definitely one that it's like that kind of quality. And I loved that about it. It just feels really special.
Yeah. A lot of people that we met at art fairs called it like a coffee table book, which was a huge honor because like we're on someone's coffee table. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something that was great.
Can't
Oh yeah, there it is in the
right there
background.
on my shelf.
I am kind of curious, because you had mentioned a few months ago that there weren't as many avenues for like literary arts or for like mixed media type of art, like drawings or those sorts of things. Um, I am kind of curious where. Oh, I had a question and it left me. This always happens. Oh gosh. All right, I'm gonna come back to that. Hold that thought. I will remind myself and we'll get back to that question.
Do you want me to take? You want me
Yes.
to keep talking?
Please.
So Kaz said, "You've got this, Trey." Speaking of sweet potato cat, no, I'm just kidding. We were talking before the show about nerding out, and we noticed that Nina has a Millennium Falcon made out of Lego behind her, and we thought that was so cool. So we were wondering what you guys nerd out about.
I feel like the biggest thing that we nerd out together about is like Studio Ghibli films, and like it's been like the year of Ghibli, so I've like been wanting to go out and see it in theaters.
That's very exciting too.
Yeah, that was like how we became friends. I think we were talking about like some like Studio Ghibli movie for like 2 hours when we like first met, and that was how we became friends. But yeah,
That's a great thing to bond over.
I do have to ask, if you had to choose one film, what is your favorite Studio Ghibli film?
oh my God.
For me, I think Ponyo just has a special place in my heart, and I have to pick it as my favorite.
I think Kiki's Delivery Service, because I think the storyline was just like very genuine. It was very relatable. Nina and I actually went as the characters for Halloween one year,
Oh,
which is
cool.
which so it also adds like some sentimental value there. But yeah,
That's awesome.
Kiki's Delivery Service was actually my first Ghibli film that I saw. I rented it from a video rental store in my town and was like, what is this magic? And then it was Howl's Moving Castle after that. And since then, it's Howl's Moving Castle has been like top tier.
Kaz said Graveyard of the Fireflies.
Oh,
that was so sad.
Oh, that's
That was sad.
oh, that's really sad.
That's a rough one.
It's still a really good movie. So I'm curious, how did you both get into writing? And Nina, you mentioned that you also get into a little bit of drawing.
I mean, for me, I've been drawing like my whole life. You know, as a kid, I admired so many other artists, especially that you saw like online, and especially comic book artists. And so that's how I got into writing, like through comics, because that was the combination of both art and writing. And then honestly, my writing really took off when I met Caroline, because she just had this writing, would talk about it. And I mean, I started writing on my own based just on my life and experiences. And that's how I got into it.
Do you find that you're inspired? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, wait. Finish with Nina first. For
Oh,
sure.
I was just going to ask you both how you inspire each other then, based on your answer. But
Oh, I was gonna say like I guess how I started writing first, but like I started writing in 8th grade, which is when I was in 8th grade. That was the pandemic year. Like we were all stuck at home. We weren't really doing anything. And the thing about writing is that there's like a giant community of it, online. It's like the teen writing community, and
Ooh.
one of our goals with the magazine was actually to bring that community to something that was more tangible and in person. Because what I found was that when I started writing and when I started getting involved with more like teen writing activities that were happening online, like online literary magazines and online competitions, I found that there was such a big community of writers who wanted to share their work with each other and who were very like vulnerable and open with their work in the same vein. Um, and that was how I got super involved with writing because the online community was just so supportive. And I was like, how can we bring that online community into our real lives? Because that was something that I found, even though it was big online, it wasn't very big where I was, or like in our school or in our communities. And we were like, if we feel that way, then somebody else also feels that way. So,
Like
For sure.
how cool that you keep sharing it and that you wanted to continue that sharing of experiences and sharing of the artwork between each other. Um, Within that, do you ever find it hard to maintain that level of vulnerability with your work, or do you feel it kind of easy now that you've been putting it out there?
oh,
That's a
It's
good question.
it's a really good question. For me, vulnerability is like really odd because especially as things change and you can view your writing so dramatically different. Like there are pieces that are in the magazine that like my feelings about have completely changed over time, but that moment of me feeling them still exists and is printed and is in tens and tens of copies. And so it's definitely like a duality with both like accepting that reality and still having to continue to be vulnerable because that's like a part of life and sharing and experiencing all
yeah.
those emotions that come with writing.
I like abs. Okay, I when I first started writing and first getting work published, I absolutely hated when other people would like read my work because I had like friends at school and they would like Google my name and the story would come up and they would read it and they'd be like, "Did this actually happen to you?" And I would be like, "Did you really have to ask that question?" um, but the more I wrote, the more I was like, okay, you know what? Everybody's doing this. Everybody's like putting a part of their soul online. And you as you continue writing, you kind of learn to be able to look other writers in the face, know that they've written whatever they've written, and know that they're still separate from the emotions that they pour into their work. Because as Nina said, oftentimes it's like a moment in time that you feel that way. So I think that's an important part of being an artist, like learning to separate the person and their character from their experiences.
That's a
Well,
small part of you that could be even gone now, but it
Right.
still exists.
Yeah.
What an answer. That's really great. So, do you inspire each other? Do you find that happening?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like, definitely. I mean, even if it's like about a completely random topic, Caroline's usually the first person I go to. Like, what do you think about this? Like, oh, I just had this like notes app thought, and Caroline will either be super blunt and be like, "This is the worst take I've ever heard," or be like, "You know, maybe there's something
I've
there."
never said that. I've literally never said that. Wait.
She's
the
like, you're
truth comes
fired.
out.
Okay. You know
You're
what?
fired.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay, I was gonna say like Nia definitely inspires me in the sense that she has influenced a lot of the ways like I look at life overall, which has then influenced my writing, like the ways I look at friendship or relationships or other things like that. So I think like it's a new perspective that we bring to each other that we are then able to bring into our art and writing that makes it so great.
I think so too. How have you seen your mission? Like your original purpose was to give access to people who are writing to be able to be published and celebrated. What ways have you seen that come true and that you were right that other people feel this way?
For artists, definitely. Like I am a part of my school's National Art Honor Society. And this is just like a community of writers who found like one of the only art clubs and communities in our school. And like they're just excitement when they saw like our promotional issues and was talking about it. Like I would go and speak in the club and like in the AP art classes. And they were just so excited to have a place where they could show their art because so many of them also have like online social media platforms, art accounts where they like share and post their stories and their artwork. But you know, it's so hard to like really get it out there and seen, especially in like school settings and other places they want it to be shown. And so I think that was one of the real places I saw like impact.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah.
One thing that I saw was first of all when people who I didn't even know did art or writing asked if they could submit or how they could submit to the magazine. And also when I on social media, I'm connected with a lot of other people from different states who do writing and art, and some of them actually found the account of the magazine, probably in like the suggested following part.
Mm-hmm.
And they DM'd and they asked if they could submit to our magazine, even though like they were in like a different state or they were at a different school. And I was like, this is something that is so needed everywhere, to the point where people from all over want to submit and want to be part of it, even though it's not even at their school or their location. And that was when it was like a moment for us where we were like, it's important. And we actually were able to, or we're hoping to create a program where we help other schools start their own magazines in that same vein. Like we're working
Cool.
on one at Woodbury High School, which is the other high school in our district. There have been people from other districts who DM us and ask for tips on how to start a magazine, and we actually saw someone start their own, and they DM'd us, and they were like, do you have tips for XYZ, how to fund, how to print, how to design? And that was one of the moments where I was like, oh my god, like we were able to inspire someone else. So
That's okay, that's cool. Like for them to see your first like publication and then immediately say, "How can we do this?"
Yeah.
yeah,
That's so cool. How validating. That's really great.
yeah.
It does make me question, like, what is it? You've mentioned that, and I think that is an incredible thing. But what is something that amazing that has happened for you as a result of creating the magazine?
Oh my god.
There's so many different like veins in the way that this magazine has like actually changed so much. I feel like one of the biggest ones is friendship. There's so many like artists and creators and friends I already had, but then just developed this whole other level of like working so closely with them, like late hours into the night, or XYZ, and getting a chance to really like see them like in like whole other settings and setting and like areas, like two artists on the magazine, Evie and Sophia. Like they're such like phenomenal artists and such an important part of the magazine and making it what it is, and getting a chance to work with them like through their art process was like something that like changed like a level in the way I view the world, I think.
Wow. Okay. What about you, Caroline?
I think one of the big things is seeing like how many people actually appreciated or liked the magazine, which kind of made me realize like people do care about art and they do care about writing. Like for example, there were teachers at our school who saw the magazine and they were like, "How can I submit?" Which you wouldn't really expect, because like usually they're a teacher, you look up to them, they're someone, they're like an authority figure. But for them to be willing to share something that's vulnerable with you as a student, or and with the writer school community as a result, was really cool, because I was like it kind of validated that the fact that writing and art is so needed everywhere. And even outside our school community, at like many of the events that we went to, like art fairs, there were a lot of people who didn't really know much about art, but they wanted to support us, and they were like, "This is so cool," and they were able to appreciate the art that our amazing artists and writers have produced. And that was so validating, not only for the people on the team who had all put their talent into this magazine, but also for every single person who had their work published in there, because now their work is on someone's coffee table or bookshelf, and that's
Mm-hmm.
really cool.
Yeah, that was like a big part for me too, because I was at like all the days of all the art fairs. I was like one of the organizers for our participation in all those fairs, and it was so insane because people would like donate and fundraise for our magazine and like be interested in it, and they're 100% of the people who bought magazines had no connection to our school or like our students. They were complete strangers who just loved it anyway, and like that
Mm-hmm.
was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it really is that awesome. It really is. Being one of those people that was a stranger and bought it at a random art fair. Totally. I wish everybody could see it. It is, you can find it on Instagram. It's the Fine Print 833 is the account. And you can go on there and read issues, and there are a few other things to see
Yeah.
there.
We have
Also, oh, go ahead.
we have digital copies of the magazine linked in the bio of the Instagram too.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, go check those out. That'll give you an idea. So that's the Fine Print 833, just to repeat it so no one misses it. Do
Uh,
you? Oh, go ahead, Trey.
Nope, you started. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if you had a cat, if that's what I was hearing.
That might be my cat.
No, I love it. I was going to say if the door is closed and the cat wants in, let the cat in. It's fine. Because my cat's roaming around here too. And like you'll hear her eventually. It's no big deal. Go ahead, Trey. I'm sorry.
You talked a couple times about some people that you wouldn't necessarily have expected to submit artwork or works to your magazine. Can you think of a submission that just kind of made you go, wow, I can't believe they submitted this?
Honestly, I kind of want to go back to one of our staff members, who Evie and Sophia, but especially Evie, because I was close friends with her before we even started the magazine. I think I knew her since freshman year of high school, and we're seniors now. And I knew she had done art, but I think there was this one point where she submitted like the most incredible like oil painting. If you look in issue 2 Sundial, it's called Soft Silk. It's this painting of like a ballet dancer, and it's like this giant oil painting. And I knew she did art because she has an art on Instagram. She does digital art on Instagram. But when I saw that oil painting, I was like, oh my god, she is so talented, and it was just amazing. And that art piece paired so well with the writing piece that we put it next to as well. So that was really cool. Getting to see so many different mediums and facets of someone's talent.
I was trying to find it. It's Soft Silk. Oh, yeah. Page 89. Let me find it.
Okay.
Ooh, there it is. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, you can like kind of barely see it, but and also one interesting thing is my little sister actually goes to the same art studio as Evie does. And she was able to see the painting like in real life because the painting is at the studio. And she was like, "Oh my god, I recognize the painting. It's like a giant canvas. It's so cool." And I was like, "Yeah, like that's how talented she is." And it was great.
It is a good one. Everything in here is so good, though. Like, honestly, I was celebrating every page. And there's a detail about this magazine that I want to bring up that I guess, wait, we need Nina's answer to that.
Oh, I think for me, the piece or one of the pieces, they all made me go, wow. But one of like the biggest reactions I had was from a student who doesn't go to our school, but sent this like very emotionally connected and very personal and very, very deep and meaningful prose piece. It was this big writing piece. I can't remember how long it was, like 3 pages long. And it was just so beautiful and it was so moving. And it was just from somebody that like didn't go to our school and didn't have any connection. And they had a connection through Caroline, I believe, like one of Caroline's friends. But for me, just like viewing that on its own was like, wow. Like it was strong enough where we were, like we were just mind blown, honestly. And like it had to go in the magazine, even if they had no connection to our school or our specific community. Like it was just a matter of artwork that needed to be uplifted and celebrated.
Was it Two Girls Dancing?
Mm-hmm.
It was. Oh, that's the piece that's matched with Evie's painting.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It is because like the dancer girl matched with like the whole like dancing metaphor.
So page 89 for anyone who's following along. Oh yeah, okay. Well, it's not page 89.
I don't think it's
it
page
starts
89.
on page 86.
Yeah.
It's backward because my camera's mirrored. You should get it. So very cool. Sorry, I was waiting to see if Trey had something to say because otherwise I talk over him and I don't want to do that.
No, I was actually looking at my notes this time.
We have to talk about some awards you've won as well. So it's like it's so amazing. Tell us about you've been finalists and you've won like All-American. Tell us about these awards.
Yeah, so basically, the big journalism organization for high schoolers in the U.S. Is called NSPA, or the National Scholastic Press Association. The other big one is the Columbia Scholastic Press Association, which is affiliated with Columbia University. But the awards that we have posted so far are from NSPA, which is the national one. So basically, that organization covers all forms of student media, so like newspapers, broadcasts, I think like online news. There's like a category for that, and of course like literary magazine and specialty magazine. And the first distinction that we received is basically like a rating. So you upload your magazine to that to be critiqued. It's called a critique, and they rate you out of 5 distinctions, and All American is the highest one. Um, you got rated in five categories. I can't remember them exactly off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's like design, concept, like they rate you on the writing, they rate you on the artwork, and like the general composition of the magazine. So we received the All American with 5 marks of distinction, which means that we got distinction in all those categories, and then like the overall highest scoring, which was really cool. I think we got that in July of this year. And then the other the other award that we recently received, it was like 3 days ago, but it was part of the NSPA individual awards. And these awards cover a broad variety of categories across all the different types of media. So of course we entered literary magazine, and we were finalists in 3 main categories. So we were finalists and finalist is top 10. So basically, out of all the entries, they put you in top 10, and then they announced the specific rankings at the national convention, which is in November.
Okay.
But we received 3 finalist placings in, first of all, cover design, which shout out to Sophia and Evie because they cooked up and they designed that whole thing, and it was amazing.
So good, yeah.
We also received a finalist in spread design, which is basically like the layout of the book, and we submitted a few specific pages for layout, and one of them ended up being a finalist.
Cool.
And the third that we won was, or that we were finalists for, is social media reporting, which is basically you make like a giant presentation of your social media and like how you did it and how you post and how many interactions you got, and they basically see like how much you were able to reach your community and the way that you did it. And I think something that was really unique about our social media is that with every single post you see on our Instagram, everything is like designed from scratch. No templates, no like anything. It's completely done with like overlays and textures and our own picked fonts and our own like colors, like and like everything. It's all from scratch, and I thought that was what made our social media specifically stand out, and we were really proud of that because as a platform that promotes originality and creativity, it was cool that we could bring that to our social media as well.
I am like speechless at how phenomenal all of this is, and also congratulations. That is well deserved. There's no question in my mind that you should have gotten All American, and that be the highest rank. That's, of course you did, because it's that good.
Yeah, I feel like something that is so like special with the magazine as well is, and so like incredibly more impressive to me, like I'm a part of it, a big part of the founder and co-editor in chief, but the whole magazine is almost entirely student run. And like we have our advisor, we had Mr. Hayes last year and Miss Rasher this year, but the entire composition of the magazine, the Caroline did all of the editing, layout, all of the internal illustration, all of the submission, management work, the advertisement, fundraising. That was all done through our staff team of students who were largely sophomores and juniors with the product that we have now, the magazine.
So how big is that team of people?
I believe it's 12.
It was 12 people last year.
So can we give all 12 of them a shout out? Do you know? Let's hear it. Who are they?
Please.
Yeah.
So we have our writing editors and our art editors.
So they're also in like the very back of the magazine, if anyone's following along. But for obviously editors-in-chief, me and Nina, we have our illustrators who are Evie Wong, Sophia Su, Addison Trucker-Miller, and Sarah Yu. And we have our writing editors, who Bella Lasker, who just graduated, Braden Greenberger, me, Georgian Chang, who also graduated, Edmund Loyan, Maya Wing, Matt Spalding. And I think that is all for the staff because there were some overlapping positions, but yeah.
That's incredible. Like a team of 12 people created this incredible thing, and it's now nationally award winning. Like that's wow.
Very cool.
I do kind of want to pause and having won these awards that are absolutely deserved. I kind of want to pick your brain about what are some of the hard decisions that you've had to make when it comes to the magazine?
I feel like one of the hardest decisions is having to turn away pieces, because that's like the exact opposite of what we want to do. But we are a school sponsored magazine, and so we can't publish profanity or certain topic or subject areas for the sensitivity and just consideration of the fact that we are promoting this as much as we can to as many students, and the sensitivity is very important there. And so for as much as we would have loved to share those writing pieces or art pieces, we do have to turn away some of the more graphic or non-school appropriate materials.
Another one was with having anonymous submissions, because basically, as writers and artists ourselves, we really understood how vulnerable it was to share your work with the world. And we understood that while some people might want to have their work out there and show them to an audience, they might not be ready to have their name attached to that experience. So one kind of debacle we had was whether or not we should allow anonymous submissions, because some people were like, well, what's the point of having your work published or posted if you yourself can't be recognized for it? And other people were like, why can't they just be recognized either way with other names on it? So our compromise was that when we collected submissions on our Google form, we basically allowed for anonymous submitters, but we also added a box for them to explain why they wanted to be anonymous.
Nice.
And I think we ended up having, 2 anonymous pieces total in the magazine right now, or in Sundial right now, which is issue 2. But that was one where people were really split, because there are arguments to be made on both sides, and costs and benefits on both sides. So
Yeah.
And then when you come to those decisions, is it you as like an entire group of 12 having these discussions, or is there like a committee that is kind of within that making some of those choices?
I would say I think it's for those like very specific decisions. I think it's mostly between me, Nina, and our advisor, who last year was Mr. Hayes. So, yeah.
Oh, it like I recognize that. I think Emily, you and I have gotten a couple where we're faced with the same sort of thing, either topic or something like that, where we kind of have to sit down and go, okay, this is something that we want to put out there.
Yeah, or even like someone who's not comfortable being on video, or someone who wants to be on, but there's always like, not always, that's incorrect, but yeah, we've had those same decisions. Like, our podcast exists to give artists a voice and to celebrate art and things like that. So when we have to make decisions on what art we're celebrating and who we're having on the show, that we struggle with that too. So it's relatable for sure. Sorry, I was looking through my notes here. Are you?
Same. I was going to ask you a question, but I'm like, no, I don't fully have that question pulled out just yet.
Oh, go ahead.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
The thing that I really love about your magazine is, or one of the things that I love about your magazine is the title of it. But I could see like a couple different interpretations of the title. For you, what does fine print mean?
I think Nina's video.
Nina's frozen.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
We'll wait. It'll come back, I'm sure.
Yeah. I guess I could answer first while her video comes back.
Yeah,
maybe.
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we thought we were so funny with this title, because our first like initial impression was we wanted to be kind of like satirical, and the saying like no one reads the fine print, and we wanted it to be like kind of like a jab or a joke at like how writing and art were like underrepresented at our school. So that was like one part of it. But the second part was also like we wanted to symbolize the small and important details in writing that people often overlook, but when you read them, they're actually kind of important. The other interpretation that I also liked and I also believe in is the fine print, fine because fine arts, and it just made sense to us. So, yeah.
Of course, yeah. So we asked what the fine print meant to you, and Caroline explained that it was a kind of a play on how people don't necessarily read the fine print. Do you have any input on that as well?
Yeah, that's pretty much why we named it the Fine Print. It was, I think
Yeah.
we literally were trying to decide what to name it. We were in our cafeteria, and like I think it was I who like just came up with like the fun play on words, and then we made a section. I was like, I think that's it.
Yeah.
A lot better than our advisor's original suggestion and our estimates.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to like put them on blast, but I do kind of want to know what was the alternative title.
It was farts, as in fine arts.
Yeah. Okay, like the
Wow.
student body would have liked it, but like it doesn't look so cute on like the cover of a magazine, so
Or like when
know.
you get T-shirts printed, or like
Yeah.
any of the other swag that you end up with
Yeah.
later.
Or like our Instagram handles like farts833. Like yeah. Maybe not. Maybe not.
It's hard to maybe take that as seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it would be hard to be like at an award ceremony and like stand up and receive.
And they're just like farts. Yeah.
Hey, Mom and Dad, I got published. Where? Farts.
Yeah. It's okay. We pay homage to that title because fine is like fine arts, so it's okay, you know. Sorry, Mr. Hayes.
Sorry, Mr. Hayes. I'm so glad that you went with the title you did, though.
Yeah.
I vote for this one.
Same. Even though I am dying a little bit on the inside.
My face hurts from laughing that hard. Like smiling that much. That's wonderful.
Oh, I mean that's awesome. At the beginning of the podcast, this question is going to take a second. I haven't fully formed it, but I'm going to stick with me. You mentioned earlier that literary and more like mixed media arts aren't always given kind of a platform to exist. So in addition to this magazine, what are some ways that you see that people could support literary works or paintings, drawing, those types of more traditional forms of art? What are ways that people could get more involved with the arts community and make sure that they go out and support these equally as talented artists?
For artwork, specifically, maybe not exactly for writing, but at our school we have a fine art showcase at the end of the year. I believe it's in April. And that's just where a bunch of artists in the school go and they put their artwork up on like a poster board, or if they have sculpture, they bring it out and they have like tables lined. And it's a big event, but it's not as big or given as much recognition, and definitely not as much advertisement as, say, like the homecoming football game or a theater production, which is like unfortunate for those artists. And so I feel like maybe supporting those, just even though they're not advertised as much, just following local art communities, clubs, things like that, and just paying attention to their events and their dates and just seeing if it, can work out, whether it's contributing volunteerism wise or just attending and showing your support. A lot of those fairs and like the showcase at our school has like a lot of other activities to try and engage like little kids as well. Like there's little arts and crafts stations and face painting. And so it's super cool to see those, and just, wishing that there's a bigger crowd than there could be.
Yeah.
I think there are like a bunch of different things you can do, but like I guess first on like the physical event side, there are tons of like local art events. There's like literary readings at the U of M where where authors come in and they read their work. There are art shows always. There are museums that host like specialized exhibits all the time. But I think the more important thing towards getting art recognized isn't like physical things that you can actually do, but it's more of the mental attitude and shift that many people hold towards the arts as a whole. I think a big reason the arts or the literary arts are kind of looked down upon is because often when you think of a viable career, no one says an artist, which really sucks, but it's just how it is. And I think that's because a lot of people don't recognize that basically everything they use and interact with on a daily basis is created with art. Like the advertisement you see on the road is art, and the book that you're reading is art, and like the document and contract that you're signing is written by a person who probably studied English or studied like policy with English or something like that. So I think it's like the mental shift of recognizing that all these things are super important and they interact with each other, and you can't have one without the other. And I think that's the change that needs to happen beyond, like, I guess, physical events that you can go to.
100%. That's exactly it. And down to like the pen, like you said, the document you're going to sign or whatever, the contract, the pen you're going to sign it with, someone had to decide what shade of color it was and the design of the pen itself. Every little
and the packaging and like the marketing and the advertising. Yeah, like everything is done with art in every career field.
Absolutely. That's something that we talk about a lot on here because it's something that it sounds like a weak field to go into to say art or artist, and it's absolutely one of the strongest things out there that people overlook. Maybe because it like you said, it can't exist without being hand in hand. Design is art. Literature is art.
I would go so far as to say is like the arts are the most intersectional fields that exist because you can apply them in every single career path, like imaginable. Like you probably can't apply an engineering degree in every single career, but you can apply an English degree because you need to know how to write properly and formally or like with creativity or whatever in every single field that you're in, because that's how you communicate with people. And without communication, there's no career or there's no like functional viable workforce. So I would argue that they're the most intersectional fields that exist today.
Absolutely. So are you working on edition number 3, volume 3?
Yeah, we've opened submissions pretty much as soon as school started, and we've attended like freshman opportunities, new student opportunities, and also club fairs to try and get new staff because a lot of our staff are currently seniors. So we want to make sure it will continue on after us. But other than that, we've just been pretty much letting kids create because it's first trimester. A lot of submissions come from art classes or writing classes. And so we pretty much start around December when we start brainstorming for concept and issue ideas, and then start layout once we start getting submissions and start the editing process then.
Cool.
About how long does it take you to put an edition together?
Oh, that's hard because yeah, it depends on the length. I think for Sundial specifically, we started actually like putting work into it in March and we published it in June, which is like a really small time crunch because the thing with our magazine was we released 2 editions last year. One was a smaller edition in order to show the school community that we existed and we were out there. And it wasn't until that gained traction that people were more interested in submitting to our bigger issue volume Sundial. So we started the production process slightly late, but overall it took around 3 months, which included all the designing, the submissions processing, the printing, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's quite a process.
Oh yeah. There's so much editing and revising that goes in, from like changing the entire like idea of the front cover to the order of the pieces and the way they go with what.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to something I was going to say earlier, and that is there's a detail about your magazine that I have a personal appreciation for, and that is, I pointed this out when I met you, Nina. I think this page might show it the best because on camera here it may not be as visible, but that is most of these pages. Like you can see there's a picture. Sorry, I'm covering my own mouth up from the microphone. There's a picture and there's text. But what you don't see it right away, at least when I hold it up, is actually behind the text. There's additional image. Let me see if I can hold this up. There's additional imagery behind the text that's kind of, just muted. Could you see that, Trey? I'm sorry.
A little bit, yes.
And it tells its own kind of story and lends itself to the mood and atmosphere of the text, which has this whole thing, this thread of that going through the whole magazine. Not every page, but enough. Like this page, felines. Behind here, just muted, are little cat footprints. Stop. Things like that you don't maybe notice right away. But I did because I love it, and there's something so rich about that and amazing. Whose idea was that?
Well, a lot of it, so some of the images you see overlaid in the back are just the artwork on that page, but the opacity is turned down.
Yeah.
And that was a design choice that I made because I was like, otherwise the page is gonna feel way too empty. But for the cat paws that you printed out, we had some pages that were actually done by our student illustrators, Addison and Sarah, and we asked them to draw like little borders for certain pieces that fit the artwork and the theme of the piece. So if you look at that page with the cat specifically, the
Yeah.
poem is called Felines, and it's about like the cat is a metaphor within that poem. Um, so that is thanks to our illustrators who were willing to draw special borders, and we incorporated those into the magazine. It was mostly because we saw a lot of empty space in the magazine, and we wanted to minimize that to keep it engaging and make it look, I guess, like less blank. So
Yeah, it's brilliant. I love it. Good job, everybody.
I think other good examples of that are the river and drawing, I think are what the pieces are called, where they both have really fun borders. If you're following along online, I guess.
Tell me again, the river.
Yeah, the river,
It's-
it's around the front. It's like page 3.
ooh, page
Oh,
20.
yeah.
Wait, hang on. The river's
15.
page 15. Drawing is page 25.
I love that
I
you
think.
have that memorized.
I am looking at the table of contents, but I
Oh,
also
okay.
did like look at these pieces
can
so much
see
while
this.
doing this spread that I know where they are a lot. So
Yeah.
I love that. So good. So good. I applaud all of you that were involved with this and everybody who submitted. And I can't wait to see the next edition. What's like one piece of advice you give people who are like, how do we do this too? What's like one thing you don't want to miss telling them?
Nina, do you have one, or I can go first?
I mean, you can go first. Yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say like, whatever you want to achieve with the magazine, ask ask how it can happen. Ask who can help you with it. Ask the opportunities that you can get within your school and around your school, because when starting the magazine, we were so lost. We weren't really sure what to do. We weren't sure where to get the things we needed to produce the magazine overall. But like for example, we asked like just offhandedly, like, oh, is there a way we can get like a free subscription to Adobe? Because we weren't about to pay like the Adobe. That is like $300. It should not be that
InDesign
expensive,
is
but
not cheap. Yeah.
InDesign is crazy. Yeah, it's all yeah, but we were able to get it for free through our school because our school had a license. And another example is like trying to think. Oh, like when we were fundraising, we just kept asking for fundraising opportunities, and it got to the point where the finance helpers at our school just emailed us whenever they had an opportunity, and they were willing to help us like fundraise for our club because we were obviously super dedicated to it. So, and another thing is reference other magazines out there and ask them what they did, because back when we first started the magazine, I would read so many other like schools magazines to figure out what they were doing and why they were so good, and the elements of their magazines that I wanted to incorporate into our own. Like for example, a big one that I can think of is Iris Art Lit, which is done by St. Paul Academy, which is also in Minnesota. And one thing that I really noticed about their magazine was their theme. Their theme was so creative and cohesive throughout the entire magazine, and they had different dividers that were able to amplify that theme into the entire magazine. So we incorporated that theme kind of aspect into our magazine as well. So I guess big two things: ask for whatever you want, even if it sounds impossible, and also look at other magazines, because that is actually so helpful. Like we wouldn't know anything about the magazines without doing that research ourselves. So yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I would say my biggest piece of advice, sort of running off that, but also like in balance with it, is stay true to like your artistic vision for your magazine. Because through our asking for help, like our advisor and like other staff members, they would like offer suggestions that were like helpful. They were incredibly helpful, but they also just didn't quite fit with our idea for the magazine and how we wanted to publish it, showcase it, or run it. But we kind of stuck to our like creative vision as much as we could within the bounds of what we were capable to do. And so like with the way it looks, the cost for printing, the way we printed it through pre-order and then also buying in bulk and doing all these various different aspects of it, we kind of staged for what we wanted it to look like and be like interactive.
I'm going to pause you 1 second here. just because our audio is catching this, we can hear the typing. So I'm sorry. Please, can you say the last sentence again?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, just pretty much stay true to your original idea and goals for the magazine. Because at the end of the day, it is about the students. It's about your artwork and what you want it to make it to be. And if you just like keep plugging at it, going at it from different angles, you will be able to find the solution that you want it to look like.
Cool. That's solid.
I'm jealous I didn't have one when I was in high school. Dang.
Right?
I do want to make sure that our listening audience who either may want to get involved with this or wants to get a copy of their own, where can they go and order a copy or be able to see the online version of the magazine?
Yeah, through our Instagram, linked in the bio, we have a link tree. Otherwise, that also stands on its own. But the Instagram is the way we mainly promote it, which is the Fine Print 833 as well. And there's links to online editions that you can flip through for the magazine, as well as order forms. Currently, there is no like shipping address because it's always existed within our community. So that would be an interesting way to work around. But that's the option that we have right now.
Or watch for maybe an art fair in the future that would have you there.
They did. We like kind of signed up really late for those because we didn't know if we would have the funding or like the means to produce the magazines enough to have product. But we were able to kind of really pull through in the last minute and snag those two art fairs, the one in Alexandria's Art in the Park, as well as the Minneapolis Jackalope Art Festival craft fair.
Well, I am so glad you did Art in the Park because that's the one I met you at, and it turned into this, which is incredible.
Yeah, along with like meeting so many different like unique and amazing people at those art festivals. I met like someone who through their school, I believe it was in Egan, they had like an art wars type of organization, which is just like a fun competitive like slight competitive edge to just creating art and inspiring kids to create art. And they like reached out to us and were like, hey, I would like definitely love to interact. And there were so many other unique opportunities and like people who were interested, art kids and people who had never really touched art at all, but they were like just in love with the idea of promoting artwork that way. So it was like amazing to meet so many different people.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that makes my soul happy that you're getting that kind of support.
Yeah, and like the amount of people who would donate too, because we were selling the magazines, but people would be like, I don't really have the space to carry around a magazine with me right now, or I have to catch a plane, but here's $5, like anything to help, which was really sweet and like touching to like have from complete strangers.
Yeah.
For those who maybe want to donate, not only purchase a copy, but may want to like donate towards either the next edition or the editions afterwards, how might they be able to donate?
I'm not sure.
I think honestly, through a DM on Instagram on our would probably be the most effective because we currently don't have a online platform for donation set up right now.
Mm-hmm.
But or indicating that in one of the order forms would work just fine. But yeah,
given that we are school sponsored, it's harder to set up those like online transaction forms through like taxes and just having the means that it'd be a little bit more difficult. We do have a Venmo that we have like dedicated to the account, which I guess we could probably find a way to promote as well. Other than that, the DM would probably be best.
Yeah.
We are also fundraising right now to attend like the national convention for those awards we were nominated and finalists for. That's
cool.
Philly.
Yeah.
So definitely for anything, I think reaching out versus DM is the best. We always check them. So
okay, good. And also support by going and following the Fine Print 833 on Instagram, because you can always support without costing you anything, and you can like and comment and boost the algorithm or boost them through the algorithm, and that costs you nothing.
What's that? I have one last question for you both. And this speaks to more of you as artists. Is there one person, they can be dead or alive, that you could have lunch with and just pick their brain for 2 hours? Who would it be?
Oh my god.
that's such a tough question.
Related to the magazine or not? Like, just
Yeah.
personally. Yeah.
Oh. Nina, do you have one first? Because I'm still thinking.
Yeah, we laid this
Name
one
that
on you.
came to mind. And so I'll go with like my gut instinct reaction was Mary Shelley. Like
Oh,
I
yes.
grew up reading like Frankenstein. I like love that work. And just like her life story is like crazy. And so I would just like love to like pick her brain and just like chat with her about her writing and her process and you know how her life has influenced that and changed that and all of it. So.
That's a
Mary
good
Shelley's
answer.
yeah.
For me, I think there's an Asian writer. She's a novelist and a poet and a prose writer. Her name is Kaming Chang,
Okay.
and she's an Asian writer. She writes a lot about. I think I really resonated with her work because she does a lot of the style of prose that I want to emulate or I want to do someday. And it's the type of prose that she uses very like eccentric metaphors and very eccentric motifs throughout her work, but she's able to tie them all into like the most beautiful stories. I think one of her pieces, it's called American Girls, and it really sat with me because it uses a very weird metaphor. It uses I think it's pronounced like dysentery as a metaphor, which is a condition where you have like, it's like it's a condition that a lot of people, it's an illness that a lot of people have at sea, where you like have diarrhea to death.
Yeah,
And she was
dysentery.
able to connect that. She was able to connect that to a story, and it was this very empowering. It's called American Girls. It was this really empowering story about like these two girls and their youth, and about like femininity. And I'm just like, I want to be the type of person who is able to see beauty and see meaning in the weirdest stuff and be able to turn that into a story. So I really like her work.
I love that.
I'm sorry. The term dysentery makes me think of like the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Did you ever play that? I'm really sorry.
You died
Alright.
of dysentery.
Well, I just showed my age, so there we go.
I don't know. Isn't it older than like everybody here? I feel like it is.
The Oregon.
I don't know. Do you need like isn't that like an original Commodore computer kind of game?
It
don't
might
know.
be. I remember playing them on like the early Macintosh computers, like before they became the true Apple computers. That's also showing my age. I'm just gonna stop talking now. All right.
Maybe that's what it was. The Apple II.
Oh, jeez. But I love that. I love that. Those are both fantastic answers. And I lied. I do actually have one last question. For our listening audience, I know we've been plugging it through the episode, but I want to make sure that our listening audience knows where to go on Instagram to follow your magazine. Can you repeat that handle for us one last time?
Yeah, it's the Fine Print 833. So the Fine Print 833.
That's it.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Well, Nina, Caroline, thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing not only your art, but the amazing art in all of your magazines. I'm really looking forward to the 3rd edition coming out. But for our listening audience, you can go check out their both editions and get a printed copy and order those. But you can also check out the digital editions. But to you both, thank you so much for being with us on the podcast today.
Thank you for
Thank you so
having us.
much for having us. That was so fun. Yeah,
It was
Hooray.
really cool.
it was fun.
Yeah. We would like to have you back, or for whomever is going to take your position for next year, who you pass the honors on
That'd be
to.
cool.
We would love to have them back.
Oh my god.
I mean, we'd definitely be interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll keep in
We'd love
contact
to.
about who
Yeah.
that might be.
That'd be great. We could do like a yearly check-in or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, as we close this episode out, this episode, along with probably every other episode, will be dedicated to Joe Capone, our moderator, fellow comedian, passionate encourager, and greatly missed friend. You can find us pretty much wherever you tune into podcasts. For updates, announcements, and more, you can follow us on social media under Modern Romantic. And our last plugin, this is a new thing that we had just launched, but we now have a Patreon. So if you wish to support our podcast with different tiers subscriptions, the different tiers do come with some incredible benefits, with our highest tier getting a shout out on the podcast itself. So if you want to see some behind the scenes conversations or some things that you wouldn't necessarily get to see on our public facing social media pages, go check out our Patreon. You can find us at the Mod Rom on Patreon. Thanks everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.